It is 2:46, and I just got here to the study room. I've been meaning to get some additional email addresses, but I was looking at my court record. Yeah. And I noticed that there's been no changes, that you haven't removed the protection order or the dissolution of marriage. Now, this idea of me motioning a court that did not protect my rights or the rights of my sons, I'm not going to do it. Now, the fraud of taking custody of my sons during the time of the dissolution of marriage, or I didn't get any notice of court hearings. You said that you couldn't find me. You didn't know where I was at. There was no way to communicate with me. Yes. That you were going to send to the wrong address court notices. Yes. Knowing that I didn't live at 1023 Kitchen Dick Road from December 20th of 2012 on. You're just going to cover up your fraud. Oh. I spent an extra hour thinking about the probate of my father's estate. I had signed an oath as a personal representative, yes, that I hadn't been convicted of any crimes of moral turpitude, yeah, and I was of sound mind. Now, for all of you that think that I'm not of sound mind now, we're going to look at what you did. Oh, now the fraud of taking custody of my sons, the fraud of issuing a protection order, yeah, that has forgeries, the fraud of the false arrests and the false imprisonment, yeah, and then the fraudulent mental health evaluations. I really like this word austere this morning. I was going to go in the Bible and count the number of times that it's in there. Because you seem to think that as a citizen, yes, that I have to agree with what you decided as a court. But when you use fraud to make those decisions, it does fall within the category of moral turpitude. Now, parties will be disqualified. Yeah. If persons are not qualified to act as personal representatives, corporations, limited liability companies, limited liability partnerships, minors, those under the age of 18, yeah, persons of unsound mind, or persons that have been convicted of any felony or any crime involving moral turpitude. Now, I asked you to remove all the fraud and have my sons call me, yeah, because the fraud of saying I'm incompetent. Now, when you refused to admit the exculpatory evidence that I wasn't in Sequim, Washington on December 31st of 2015, and I asked you to admit the evidence that I was in this library on December 31st of 2015, yeah, I had slept at the Serenity House that night. I was on the bus that morning. Yeah, I was not in Sequim at 7:47 a.m. I wasn't there at 4:48 p.m. Now, this is exculpatory evidence where I was not in Brendan, Washington. I was making videos in front of the Masonic Temple on or about June 16th of 2017. Yeah. And I was at the senior center that afternoon. I actually did look at the logbook, and I'm sure that I could get the actual signatures of those that were there on that day. Yes. And then there's this issue of cyber stalking. Oh, I never emailed anybody at the Brennan or the Quilcene school districts. Yes. But last night I had a little extra time to myself, and I was looking at that Baptist church that my sons were going to, that Greg Miller had requested of the court to modify the court order. My problem is that most events that I've been to, usually you just put the name of the individual on the front of the name tag. And then I looked at the face painting and I thought, that doesn't really look like Zachary. There's nobody that did any photoshopping or the employing of a look-alike or twin to be my son, or Zachary, but pooch. See, I've been to a lot of events, and Rarely, I mean, rarely do you put the name of the individual on the back of the actual name tag. You put the name of the person on the front. Now, I noticed Bishop, yes, he had his name on the front name tag. Yep. Whereas Zachary, his name was on the back of it. And I just wondered, oops, you did not actually make anything or anybody say that they were this Zachary Budnick. Yes, because this Zachary Budnick happens to go to the Quilcene School District and is in the wrong grade. Now, for those of you that thought I was looking for where they're at, yes, I provided in this email an actual screen print of an article from Peninsula Daily News. Yes, I have a pretty good idea where they're at. Yes, my concern is who are all the Zachary Budnicks right now? See, Budnek is a very unique last name.